Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another LeadSquared webinar. I'm Vaishnavi Shetty, and I work in the marketing department of LeadSquared. Today's topic of discussion is Sales Automation 101, Unclog Your Sales Pipeline. Managing a sales team along with multiple sales activity across spreadsheets and systems can be overwhelming. To gain complete visibility into your sales pipeline and ace your conversions, we have with us our experts, Apekshit Babaria, who's a sales expert, and Zehran Khan, who is an automation expert at LeadSquared. Today, they'll be discussing how LeadSquared solution can be the solution to help you ace your sales. Now, before we begin, I would like to bring your attention to the bottom right of your screen. We have a chat tab there and a question tab. We would love to hear your thoughts and questions, so do not hesitate to put your questions there, and we'll take them up at the end of the session. We'll also have some polls up, engaged, as we would love to hear more about you. So, without further ado, let's begin. Apekshit, over to you. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Vaishnavi, for that lovely introduction. Right. So let me set the agenda. So what we're going to do is we're going to understand a little bit about LeadSquared, what we can do, and we're going to talk about how we can use automation to help you optimize your sales processes, increase your efficiency, unclog your pipeline, and have some kind of overall outcomes that benefit you in terms of forms and processes. Uh, Now, if I could have a presentation up on the screen, please. Right. Okay. All right. I think it's visible. Right. Zeran, can you see my screen?
Yes, Apekshit, they can. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So let's go step by step, right? And let's talk about LeadSquared, who we are, what we do as a company, right? Currently, we're a Bangalore-based company. We are headquartered in Bengaluru. We've got offices in 7 countries across the globe. As a company, we are over 1,200 employees strong on today's date, and we've got over 2,000 enterprise customers that we work with. Where we stand as a company right now, we've had 3 rounds of funding. We're currently on Series C. We're valued at over $1 billion US. So we had a round of funding from Stakeport Capital and Gacha Capital initially, along with Jyoti Bansal. We had an independent round of funding. This is from the International Finance Corporation, which is part of World Bank. In December 22, we had a $153 million round of funding from Westbridge Capital, which propelled us to a unicorn status. Now, keeping that in mind, we've expanded geographically. When you talk about the Indian market, I operate from the Mumbai office. Zeran operates from Bengaluru. We've got presence in NCR. We've got presence in Chennai and in Hyderabad. Outside of India, we've got offices in the UAE, in New Jersey, in North America, and we've got satellite presence in Philippines, in Singapore, in Australia, and South Africa, and we're continuously growing. Now, some of the customers we worked for would range from Poonawalla to a Meesho to an Amity to a Practo to a Bajaj. So we're positioned as an industry agnostic solution, wherein we don't limit our expertise to one particular industry, and we understand use cases, and we have the flexibility and malleability in the software to cater to pretty much any use case that comes our way, and deliver solutions to the best of the capabilities of the system. Now, that being said, we follow an end-to-end sales management, efficiency management sort of system, right? So we look at everything from capturing your leads from multiple sources, distributing these leads to the right executives, qualifying these leads in terms of prioritization, and we'll talk about prioritization more as this presentation progresses, right? Nurturing leads within your bucket, segregating them into lists, tracking your sales, and enhancing your overall productivity using the power of automation, right? When you have all of this in place, we've got very advanced reporting and analytics modules that help you continuously improve your processes and understand what kind of proactive work you can be doing in order to bring in that efficiency that you might always be looking for in your sales processes. Now, we are hosted on Amazon web servers. So we're an AWS hosted platform. Now, keeping that in mind, we also operate in an Akamai environment. If you're an enthusiast, then in terms of the encryption standards that we follow, we're currently on AES 256 at REST and TLS 1.2 at Flow. Uh, all of our modules are Amazon hosted, right? However, we do have very advanced integration capabilities. And one thing that has brought us there is is the marketplace that we have. So when you're looking at capturing leads, when you're looking at any kind of retargeting automations, or when you're looking at any kind of customer engagement, we've got ready connections. This would be with something like a Google Ads or a Facebook. This would be with something like a Gmail and Outlook. We're also present on the Microsoft Marketplace, or it could be something as simple as a WhatsApp or an SMS campaign. Additionally, we also do integrations with something like a Just Dial or a Magic Bricks, depending on the industry that you're looking for a solution from. We've got a total of 150 ready connectors. These connectors are set up in a matter of hours once we have configurations in place. So let's go step by step, right? And let's talk about capturing your leads. We spoke about how you could capture leads from online sources. Let's say if you have a campaign that you're running through Facebook or through Instagram or maybe on Google, maybe on LinkedIn, right? We could help you set up a landing page and capture leads from these forms. Additionally, let's say if there is a list that you're sitting on or an Excel file that you're sitting on and it's an offline bucket, right? You can bulk upload these leads into the system wherein an automation would kick in and you'd have an and you would have the segregation and distribution of leads based on the logic that you've given us. And we spoke about ready connectors for third-party websites too. Now, keeping that in mind, what we're trying to do is, and a lot of customers have come to me with this use case, right, where you receive a lead and your first interaction with a lead, the first time a salesperson would connect with the customer, you have a lead time there. And a lot of times, most customers I've spoken to have tried to minimize this lead time. And what we do for that is we ensure engagement from capture of the lead right up till the first time your salesperson reaches out. Now, this can be through an email, it could be through a WhatsApp, it could be through an SMS or any medium that you'd want to be using, right? And the reason we do this is to make sure that you're not losing any customers. Your customer doesn't go to an alternative product or an alternative solution, right? Now, keeping that in mind, you also want to be monitoring how these processes are flowing. And for that, people at different levels in an organization would have a different hierarchy that they stay at and different kinds of metrics or different kind of reports that they'd want to be viewing. They'd also have very different permission levels. Let's say if for example, I am an India head, I'd have access to data from all states. But let's say if I'm a state head, I might not necessarily have access to data from all states, depending on how your company's policy works when it comes to data management. We help you configure these workflows, assign permissions. This can be complete access or it can be partial access to certain kinds of data, to certain metrics that are visible, and to lead information that might be visible. This can be wholly or partially accessible. Now we're going to talk about lead prioritization, right? And lead prioritization would involve a lead score. Now, I'm going to talk about lead score, where it's kind of an amalgamation of a quality score or a quality criteria and an engagement score. When you're talking about quality criteria, you're talking more about a fundamental metric. Let's say if there is a lead that comes in, he submitted a form and he's coming from the Mumbai location, and you want to prioritize this lead because it's from the Mumbai location, right? So you have a certain value that you can attribute to this particular lead. And we'll in the next slide, we'll walk through how these values can be set up, right, through core and custom activities. And then you have an engagement score. Let's say if I am a lead that has come onto your website and maybe I'm looking for a property, maybe I'm looking for a loan or some kind of insurance. I've come onto your website, I've submitted a form on Facebook, I've submitted a form on Instagram through the campaigns, right? You know that I might potentially be a very hot lead. Now, in this case, my engagement score would go extremely high. So your lead score is more like a weighted average of a quality criteria and an engagement score, right? Again, you define the values or you define the weightage of engagement scoring and quality scoring, right? And that tells you what your lead score is. So at any given point in time, your salesperson will know which leads they should be focusing on, which would be the urgent leads or high priority leads whom they should be reaching out to first, and which are the leads that might take a little more nurturing or might need a little more marketing or something that would give them some sense of brand equity or brand recall from the marketing team, right? And accordingly, they can reach out and they can have these conversations. Okay, we're going to talk about an example of this. Right. So what we're doing over here is, I believe we are going into understanding how lead scoring works, right? And you see in the GIF that we've selected core activities. Core activities would be something like emails, right? Uh, Now you also have negative scoring. So let's say if I mark a particular email as spam, right? I could have a negative score that's associated with the lead. So it's not only positive scoring. Let's say if there are leads that might not be interested, you can set certain automations that will move these leads out of a campaign or out of a list, right? And you're optimizing your spends over there because you're not targeting these leads anymore. So we are looking at an end-to-end optimization. Right now, we've updated the value of a core activity, right? Hold on. Okay, can we go on to the next slide? Now, we also look at different opportunities. Let's say if I am a loan seeker, right? It could be a personal loan, it could be a business loan, a commercial vehicle loan, right? A travel loan. Or let's say if I'm looking at some kind of insurance, it could be a life insurance, health insurance, vehicle insurance, could be pretty much anything right now. Basis the interest of the customer, we have opportunities, right? Which is an object in our system which helps you identify what kind of opportunity or what kind of interest your lead has. And accordingly, you can segregate these leads into multiple buckets. You can have relevant teams reach out to these leads. And most importantly, you can nurture these leads with the right communication, right? To ensure complete effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. And we're also going to be looking at an administrator dashboard, right? Hold on, while the video loads. Right now, basis where you are in your hierarchy, you're going to want different kinds of reports, different kinds of dashlets that you want to view. And what we do is, recalling something that I spoke previously a couple of slides ago, we can have relevant information crafted for you on your dashboard itself. So if you're an admin, you'll have an admin dashboard, right? If you're a marketing user, you'd want to be monitoring a different kind of metrics. If you're someone from the sales team, right, you want to look at what is happening with your leads, what your pipeline is like, what stage you're at, right, and when you can have your next closure. So basis what you need, you can have up to 12 dashlets on your dashboard, right? And then you have a plethora of reports that are available based on the access level that your admin user is allowed. Vaishnavi, can we move to the next slide, please? Right. Now, one of our hot selling cakes lately has been our chatbot. Right. This is a conversational bot, and what we do is uh, we understand the logic of the customer. Now, this chatbot can be embedded into your website, or you can have a WhatsApp chatbot, right? With capabilities uh, that would largely surround your use case. And you can have multiple use cases based on the logics that you give the chatbot, right? And again, this is a no code, low code sort of chatbot. So what you're doing is you're defining the logic, right? And we're implementing these logics along a workflow. Uh, the benefit of this is, let's say if there is a new product introduction, or if there is any change in your policy, or there is any change in the communication that you'd want going out, right? It could immediately be configured while through a live edit within the chatbot itself, right? And again, this is a no code chatbot, so it's the turnaround for these configurations are rather quick. Speaking of configurations, right, I'd like to also pass the ball to a colleague of mine, Zeran, right, who is the subject matter expert and who handles some of the best configurations the company has seen. Over to you, Zeran.
Thanks for the introduction, Apekshit. So before we start off, just a quick pause here to see if you have any questions. I see there is one by Mosarat Parveen. I think we can address that before we move ahead. All right. So I think one question that you've asked is how can we track duplicate leads that came from different websites, and if LSQ hasn't captured them, and how do we show them in reports? I think it's a very important question. Let me take that. So it again depends on what logic you have. We have something called as defining a unique parameter within LeadSquared. So that unique parameter can be a mobile number, can be your email, can be any other field that you feel should be the unique parameter to ensure that duplication is not happening. We call it as a dedupe logic, right? Now, say for example, there are cases where you would want leads to be created with the same phone number, right? We can take it in the automotive use case. For example, there is a customer who wants to visit dealership A and dealership B, and the company would want to allow the lead to be created because depending on the service and what kind of prices they're getting, they want the sale to happen, and that kind of barrier should not be there. So, which is why this can be completely customized and can be configured depending on what the requirement is. So right now, Praveen, we don't have access to these. You can actually, after this call, sign up for a demo, and we can have a customized demo based on what requirements you have. And I think we can take it up from here. Right now, it's we have a few videos in the slides that will talk about what we have to offer. But I think I'm sure the team will be able to help you out with a customized demo after this session. All right. So if you do not have any more questions, I think we can go ahead with the next set of items that you want to talk about. All right. So I think Abhishek, very nicely touched upon the core capabilities of a product in terms of how the lead comes into the system and how it can get nurtured, and how the analytics are going to help see an overall holistic view of what is happening in the entire journey, right? Now, one very important thing for any CRM tool, for it to work efficiently and ensure that all mundane and manual tasks are not repeated, is by using automations, right? Now, how do we leverage automation to ensure that you're getting the best results in terms of efficiency, in terms of reducing manual intervention, and ensuring that there is we're able to tackle things at scale, right? So what you see on screen right now is example of how an automation page looks like. So you can take various examples as to how automation can help make things easier for you. This can happen on different things. We call it as triggers. So anything that you want an automation to start with, we can create custom workflows based on the trigger that you give, right? Now in this case, for example, we can say, for example, if you want to have a lead management system where you are collating leads from multiple sources and you want them to be distributed equally amongst your sales teams, right? Now let's take an example of a call center case here. Say you have X number of leads coming in through multiple sources, and the problem you're facing is now it's getting assigned to a sales manager, which is happening manual in nature. But you want this to be distributed to your salespeople or your call center agents equally. You can add further conditions like it can be based on region, it can be based on product, it can be based on location, anything that you want to bifurcate on. It can also be on teams in terms of which team you want to divide it, and you can have more complex logics incorporated there as well for distribution. Suppose that at any action or any trigger point, you can define a workflow in terms of how this needs to proceed, right? Say, for example, after the customer has spoken, after the agent has spoken with the customer, the next best action should be triggered automatically. Say, for example, you want an SMS to go out, or an email to go out, or a WhatsApp message. Maybe you want to send all three of them immediately as a validation of the call with the next step, saying, okay, this is your, thanks for speaking to so and so, and this is, what are the next steps, right? So all these can be achieved by dragging and dropping cards, which are very simple to use. Since we are a SaaS platform, all this can be done without any coding or without any technical knowledge per se, right? You just need to define and just drag and drop these cards, and you can go ahead with that, right? So this was about speaking about automations in terms of how this looks like. Now coming to in terms of tracking lead activities, right? We want to ensure the customer journey is being tracked completely and you are getting an overall view in terms of what is happening and see the journey of the lead. Now let me take this example that you see on screen, right? Let's take one example of a lead that is coming in, say Facebook. And this is an education case where an applicant is interested in applying for a course. Now, since we have website tracking trackers enabled, whichever media you have your be it a website, be it a landing page, or be it any other Facebook page or any other place where you're advertising, we can capture that those actions before they actually click a form. So what we do is the CTA now here is to fill a form so that they can get in touch with the relevant stakeholders from the company. Post that, what happens is automatically an email is triggered to the customer confirming their interest in the particular product or a course, and the communications tracking is happening there. So as soon as that happens, once the email link is clicked, the salesperson is notified that this action has been performed. So one more advantage and one more feature of the automation capabilities also is in terms of notifying the user in terms of for any action that has happened, right? Especially when you are dealing with cold emails, or if you are dealing with a large volume of leads and communication largely happens with say SMS or emails, it's important to act upon if someone has showed any kind of interest, which is where things become difficult, and maybe some lead who's warm might not get converted on time, and maybe they can either get cold or get dropped off, or maybe be poached by the competition. So in this case, when an email link is clicked, there's a notification goes to the salesperson saying like, hey, this particular person has clicked on the email link, and this is what has happened, and the next action can be defined post that, right? So this is how we track the lead activities. I see a couple of questions coming in. Maybe we can take it. I think let's see if any of these can get answered during the course of our conversation. If not, we'll definitely park some time and take these questions and answer them in detail after this. All right. So now moving on to performance reports in terms of how these automations and these workflows that we've created work in having effective drip campaigns. Right now, as you see on the screen, it's we also need an analysis in terms of what is happening. Now, as we saw in the previous slides, there is a workflow created. There are a set of actions that are defined, but we need to know what is happening and how many clicks you've had, or what are the definitive actions that are there, so that you can get some analysis. It also helps you analyze if something has gone wrong as well. With our detailed automation reports, you will know how many leads have gone through the funnel. Right, the end state might be something else, but you need to know where what is happening during that entire journey. If I take the example that you see on screen, you see, say, 100 leads are coming into the system. How many of them have actually have a text mail or an email sent out? Out of that, how many are being processed, right? Now we see something called as a wait card, which is again a condition that you need to apply, saying that, look, if I do not have any set action, say in this amount of time, this period of time, the automation will, then trigger something else. Say, for example, you're having a shopping workflow. There are people who've added their items to the cart, right? If the purchase is not made, say by end of day, then automatic communications go out in terms of nudging them to make that purchase, right? If they have made or they made any positive action, then that flow gets killed there, right? So that is how it is. And this gives you a very nice picture in terms of what is happening and how many of these leads, what is the total overall funnel that you can see. And you can, take your actions post that. All right. Now again, using automations and using a lot of these workflows that we spoke about, we can build a highly efficient call center flow. I mean, this can be applicable for anything, but again, starting saying most of the cases, call center is the first step of the journey when they're qualifying leads. That's where these helps us a lot and help us solving a lot of problems. If you see the most common problem of any call center, be it in any industry, right? Any vertical that you say, largely it's either your sales, you have inside sales people generating leads, you have call center people who are actually working towards support and also taking inbound calls, right? One thing that we need to solve for is making them more efficient, making them more productive. How do we do that? Now, if you see, they are dealing with a lot of volume. Say each caller is dealing with say 80 to 100 calls a day. You need to ensure that first of all of your leads that are coming in are getting passed to all the agents. Say now you've plugged in your lead leakages from multiple sources, which by the way is one of the largest problems one of our customers face, where they don't have attribution, they don't have access, or they don't have visibility in terms of how many leads are getting dropped off at what stage, right? You might have your social media channels, you might have your inbound channels, you might have your own website, you might have multiple portals, and you might have third-party aggregators who are giving you leads, right? And you might be, importing some by yourself. It's very important that all of these flow into one system, and these are then distributed equally, so that each of these leads are actually acted upon, and nothing has been missed out, right? Because every lead missed can be a potential customer, that is a potential revenue loss to the company, right? So first problem that we're solving is in terms of plugging all the lead gaps, ensuring that all the leads are coming in and they're flowing into one system without any problems, right? Second part is now how do we ensure that we are assigning them or distributing them efficiently. We'll define teams. Say a call center A has say 10 agents and there are 100 leads coming in every hour. We need to ensure that there are, say, for equal work distribution, there are 10 leads distributed every time, right? The second problem that we're problem solving is ensuring that the leads are distributed efficiently amongst or equally distributed amongst all the agents who are present. We don't want to overload someone. We don't want to, have someone who's sitting idle for a long time. We need to ensure that they're working at optimum capacity and ensuring they're able to deliver and work, their best, right? Now, again, having this is also, again, this, if I have to go a little deeper in this, we can have custom logical lead distributions. Say that, say they are working based on product, right? They can work based on region. All that can be factored into, and those logics can be designed and defined by a customer, and that can be implemented depending on what it is, right? Post that, it's important that they have a very simple view and they're not doing a lot of manual work in terms of when they're trying to deal with such a large volume of calls, right? So you can have nudges enabled saying that okay, this is a high priority customer, this person needs to be called up immediately, or there is a follow-up task that is coming up and this needs to be taken care of immediately, right? There can be nudges that can take care of whatever your objective is, your sales objective is, be it upsell, cross sell, be it referring them to anything else, be it ensuring that they're qualifying and they're being all the details are given, sending out any communication that can be defined depending on what the flow is and what the requirement is, right? And that's how this happens. So then let's ensure that all of this is handled efficiently, and then there is performance tracking and all the reports take care of in terms of giving you a complete insight in terms of how this has happened, right? So similarly, I think this is just in terms of talking a little more about what we spoke earlier, how these can the automation cards can be configured in terms of sending communications or being having actions triggered. The same thing again. I think we've already discussed it before, and we can move ahead to see what is out there. Now, I think largely we've spoken about our platform capabilities, but also it's important. We also have a large section of people who are working on field sales, right? There you can take example of insurance agents. You can take examples of vendor onboarding. You see, you can take examples say, of Amazon Pay or say Paytm. You see all these small, machines that are there, POS machines. All of these come under vendor onboarding, right? So there's a lot of use cases that you can see in multiple industries where field agents have to go and visit on site, and it's very important to have a robust tool at the palm of their hands where they can track all of these manually instead of waiting at the end of the day, logging from the system and ensuring that everything is done. And there is a lot of things that can get missed out with that. So again, to ensure that you're building a highly productive field team, considering there's a lot of time which is involved in travel and there is a lot of things, we can ensure that there is restrictions based on that. So one of the features that you have is, say you're visiting 10 leads per day, right? One of the problems is how do I ensure that I'm effectively following the plan, which also ensure that I'm not wasting a lot of time and not doing a lot of round trips, right? We can have a day plan design saying, okay, from point A to point B, I'm traveling, and this is what my plan is going to be. This is the lead I'm going to visit first, and this is how it's going to be, and the entire thing can be tracked, and those details can be shown to you, right? Second thing that we see is we do not know this is a problem which most of the team leaders, the managers have, where we don't know if the person has actually visited the site or not, right? One way to solve that is okay, we can maybe have an OTP, we can have a customer validation, but I think a definitive way to ensure that this is being adhered to and there are no uh, anything that is going wrong is to ensure that you have restrictions and you have rules in place, right? One of the examples is check-in and check-out. So anytime you're reporting to office or reporting to an on-site location or reporting to a client location, you have the option of checking in into the app, which captures your real-time location and the time, and that is how your day starts. Same way for checkout. You also can have these automated, but you can also have these manual. That again completely depends on what the requirement is. Another important part is talking about location restrictions. You might want to ensure that okay, say if there is a defined spot for a person to visit a customer location, you want to ensure that this location is being captured. You can also have geofencing, ensuring that the person should not go out outside of that radius, right? Because then you can probably go to a friend's place, you can go to some other cafe, and then punch in and say, look, hey, I have completed my quota, which is again a problem and doesn't really give you visibility in terms of what is happening. So using these things, we can ensure that the productivity is also high and there is also some kind of discipline that is being followed by the sales agents, and which makes them efficient, right? So I think this again gives you a brief idea. There's some screenshots here to understand how the field team is performing, what leads have they visited, what are the plans for the day, what are the tasks for the day, to ensure that it's being extremely streamlined. You don't have to use your brains. You just see what is coming on the screen. You have everything sorted out for you, and just on the tap of the button, everything is sorted. Right? It's very simple. The whole idea is to make everything as simple and easy to use as possible, because your end users can be might not be highly qualified, do not need how to code, do not need to understand complex logics. All that can happen at the back end, but what they need to see on screen is what they need to do, how they perform, and what do they need to do next, right? If you have to simply put it across that way. Now, another important part, coming to what we discussed earlier, is something called as smart views, right? Now we spoke about call centers, we spoke about field agents, right? It's very important to know what is the task of my day. How do I ensure that I'm able to focus on what I need to do first, right? So if I take example for the call center case, it's very important that you are supposed to treat your hot leads first, right? Now you might let me take an example of an insurance industry. Say, for example, you're logging to any website, any insurance provider, right? As soon as you register, you notice that you get a call immediately within a few seconds, within a minute, right? This is an example of a highly efficient CRM, ensuring that a person who's interested is being addressed to immediately, right? So, say, for example, you've already done this, but it's taken forever for the salesperson to get back. You might have, already gone to a competitor, or maybe, probably interest for whatever reason, right? So this ensures that having smart views defines how do you ensure that the right people have been contacted. So you can define these. These are a set of rules that can be configured. Saying, say for a call center example, I want to divide my leads into say hot, cold, warm, or that way. Or maybe you want to define it product wise, saying, okay, if I'm getting product A, let me make a call first and let me answer that first, right? So that is all very easily available on in different tabs. As you can see, this is an example of a mobile use case, but the same can be applied to your platform as well, where call center teams are using. Same thing applies to your field agents as well, where you have very specific buckets in terms of what they need to do instead of manually going, exploring, and seeing what has happened in that lead, right? So these are this is how smart use can solve your problems and make things very easy. I can give a couple of industry examples. If I say take example of real estate, right? Uh, the agent or the business development executive's task are to ensure, okay, how many site visits am I showing today? How many houses of flats am I showing per day? I have the list in the palm of my hand saying, okay, these are the 5 or 10 customers that are coming today. These are the things that I need to do, right? Similarly, if I have to take an example of an automotive use case, you see that there are dealerships, people at the dealership, the sales people who can see how many people are planning to visit for a test drive. It's also very important that two ways. One is it makes your salespeople extremely effective. Second, it helps them have a very mature conversation with the customer, because they already know what journey they've been through. Right. For example, if you're going to a dealership and you've had an interaction with someone on the call center, this is the first time you're visiting a dealership. But the customer, once you come in, when the agent already knows that, okay, this is the vehicle you're interested in, and this is what you've already done before. I see you've already visited this particular showroom, or you've expressed interest in this particular brand. It makes the conversation much more easier and makes chances of conversion much higher, because the customer experience is top notch there. And also the way it helps the salesperson, and the problem you're solving here is a lot of these things happen manually, right? If you've had experience of buying anything offline, people just walk in, right? They might come in from different sources. They've seen an ad, they've seen a video, but you have no idea if the person who's coming, you don't have the details. Maybe you write it on pen and paper, but it never gets entered to a system, right? Here you're ensuring that you don't have to do all of that. You already know who's coming in. And if there are cases where there are walk-ins, you can immediately open your phone, immediately add a lead, and ensuring that it's there in the system and it's not missed out, and there is no loss of revenue on the customer, right? This is how we're ensuring that we have a tight grip on things, and nothing is getting lost out. So similarly, again, I think this we are coming to the screen where we talk about how these smart views look from a platform or a web perspective. And this is the example that we spoke about regarding the call center, which helps them prioritize their work and ensuring they're able to connect faster and do things more efficiently. Now here again, these are if I take the example of call center, it can be multiple use cases, It can be a use case where the agents are actually manually calling the customers. It can also be a case where there is a high volume and they've been automatically assigned leads. So there is an auto dialer functionality that is there where leads have been pushed automatically, and then they're able to fill the forms and ensure it like all of these are getting tracked on time. So coming to the next screen, I think this again is very important in terms of how the admin view looks like. Now, the admin can be anyone from the sales manager, or can be the CEO of the company, or can be your sales head, anyone that depends on who the admin is in the organization. It's important to get an overall view in terms of how your teams are performing, how various teams are performing. So you can divide this into your sales teams, your marketing teams, right? That can also be divided into your call center teams, your on the field, field sales team, all of that. These are some of the examples of how the dashboards can look like. You can customize this the way you want it to. You can have widgets, you can have reports to be shown to ensure that you have a high level view in terms of what is happening in your organization. And this again goes down deep. You have just to talk about reports. We have close to, I think, 180 reports that are coming out of the box, and these can be customized based on what your requirements are. Cool. I think I'm just going to pause for some time. I see a couple of questions that have come my way. Let us see if we can address them, and then we can go ahead if that is okay. Right. Cool. So first question from Sandeep Kumar: how can we track monthly newsletters, artist stories, e-brochures? How do you create those leads? Yeah. So as we showed earlier, Sandeep, I think as you've have your tracking scripts in all of these, you have action defined for all of them. Assuming that the monthly newsletters are going out by email, you can track these by report in terms of how many clicks have happened, what are actions have been performed on these newsletters, how many people have signed up, right? And these actions and milestones can be defined by you. Say if you want opening of a mail, or clicking of the email, clicking on the CT, or signing up for the newsletter, or maybe making a purchase from anywhere else, that can be tracked. It completely depends on the journey that you're defining here, and same thing, right? Anything there. For example, we have the option of sending out brochures as well. That again is posted as an activity in the system. You can see at what time it was sent. Was it delivered or not? What has happened? That can be tracked as well. Cool. I think the second question is from Ravi Kumar. He has. Okay. I'm not sure if I understand this question correctly, but let me see if I'm getting it right. Yeah, so I think you're asking that if a person is based out of, say, location A, but the company caters to, say, pan India, they have a pan India presence. How do we manage leads or services based on different locations? I hope that is what the question is. Apekshit, if you have any other
Yeah,
perspective to what I think.
I
Yeah.
see. I have two angles to it. Either Zeran is the lead in the system, right? Let's
Right.
say if he's a customer, uh, right, and then what happens if his location changes, or let's say if Zeran is a user who's currently working in the Bangalore location and then he's deputed to an alternative location, what happens then? So I think we can look at both use cases.
Absolutely.
Zeran. So let me say let's start with this, right? Let's say Zeran is lead in the system. Initially, he's in Bengaluru, right? And then because of his company, he's deputed to another location. Let's say he's deputed to Kolkata, or let's say he's deputed to Mumbai, right? Now, in this case, right, the executive that is already in touch with Zeran can update this location, or Zeran has the ability to go into his customer profile in case we are picking it up from a third-party application and update those details there. This will get updated in the LeadSquared system in real time, right? Or on let's look at the other use case where Zeran is a user in the system. And Ravikumar, I'm hoping we've got both interpretations right, or we've got at least one out of the two interpretations right of the question. Right, we'd be thrilled to show you this in a live demo whenever we connect later. But let's say if Zeran is a user who's currently working in Bangalore and he has a set of leads that he's working on. Let's say from here he moves to an alternative location. This can be Mumbai. This can be it could be Kolkata, right? Let's take the same example. Now, in this case, based on the logic that we've defined, so we have this feature called pin code distribution when we are setting up automations, right? And you have a database which tells you that, okay, fine, all of these pin codes belong to the state. So when you change the state, when you change the city, what are the pin codes that would apply to the customer, that would apply to the user as well? And if I have moved to a Bangalore pin code, or I have moved to a Mumbai pin code, right? There would be a change in the lead set assigned to me. Again, this is happening through automation triggers, wherein I have an updated lead bucket. I have an updated version of Smart Views, right? And any of my previous leads will automatically get distributed either on round robin basis or through a designated logic by my immediate L1 manager or my L2 manager, whoever has defined the logic for me. Right. So what is happening is through this automation, it is a simple change in the system wherein the user receives his new leads, he receives his new geography, and subsequently his existing leads or the work he has been doing moves to the next sales owner. Now, in this case, when the next sales owner receives these leads, he can drill down on these leads and he'll also see the activity history. So there is no formal requirement for a knowledge transfer, because what the LeadSquared system is doing is it's also showing you what work Zeran was previously doing, what accounts he's been working on, what leads he's been working on, right? Which are his hot leads, which are his cold leads, and alternatively, let's say if you don't have any information on the user and Zeran is just a customer, right? Now in this case, the sales owner of Zeran can manually update it into the system, or Zeran has the ability to you do it through a WhatsApp bot. So the possibilities are endless as to how this can be rectified. My interpretation so far of the question is more like, okay, fine, Zeran is the user in the system and he's deputed from one location to another. Okay, great, great. I'm glad, Ravi Kumar. Thanks, and we'd love to have a demo with you. Right.
All right. I think we can proceed. I think we just have a little more to go. I think we just winding up, and then I think we can open the forum to questions. Right.
Sure.
All right. So this proceeding, I think, going towards the end, I think it's very important that once you have an effective system in place, it's very important that you have the right kind of tools to track the productivity and see how you're, analyzing these, the work that is being done, right? So reports are a very important part of these things, and we have a very robust platform called Sierra, which we can, use to track various things. We have a DIY report builder. We can build dashboards, and you can share this and time it in terms of whoever wants access to it. And as I told earlier, that we have a lot of these reports out of the box, and depending on what the use case and what the industry is, this can be customized based on your requirements as well. Now, moving on, I think now let's move to one of our to marketing automations as well. We did speak briefly in terms of how these campaigns around all that can be run. We do have marketing automation capabilities in our platform as well, where you can actually create a lot of these campaigns and run it from LeadSquared without having to rely on any separate tools or any separate builders that can help you do that, right? You can design any kind of rich email campaigns. All these are very simple to do with simple instructions and training, one-time training. All this can be done automatically by a marketing team, and creating impactful campaigns that way, right? And post that, you can track all of these, see the performance of them, and also analyze using the reports that we have. Right now, another thing I think what of a lot of the companies do nowadays is having a lot of landing pages which are customized to ensure that these are catering to the specific campaign that has been launched. LeadSquared has the capability of creating these landing pages in a matter of minutes as well. Depending on what your use case is, being education, be it real estate, anything for that matter, you can create these beautiful looking landing pages which are very simple to use, and you can have all the leads coming into your system using these as well. Right now, I think coming to productivity in the reports, it's a very important that once you're running teams at scale, it's important to manage them effectively, knowing who's done what. We also have a dedicated performance management system is called ACE, which will help you with leaderboards, scores, and gamification in terms of how these can be incentivized for people who are especially in target driven companies or positions, right? Sales is one of them. So how do you get actionable insights? All these can be tracked using the reports that we have, and Sierra is one of the reports builder that we have within LeadSquared. All right. All right. I think we've wrapped up. Thank you all for being very patient, and I hope we've able to add some value. And any questions that you have, I think we need for more. Over to you, Ashton.
Yeah, thank you so much, Apekshit and Zehran, to taking us through and giving us a sneak peek into LeadSquared sales automation solution. It was so well put together. I'm sure everyone has a lot to take back today. So let me just address some questions that came in on the questions tab and the chat tab. The first question that I see is by Abhishek Chatterjee, and he's asking, can you show automation how automation works and how to set it up? A small example would work too. Would it be possible, Seran?
Yeah, I can share my screen. I think let me show in terms of how an automation works. Let me
Yeah.
quickly share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how the automation page looks like. So the what you saw on the slide earlier was a screenshot of from a platform. So you can define the start of the automation by triggers, conditions, and actions. This is how these look like, right? This is an example of a very simple automation. You can make it complex and have multiple cards depending on what these conditions and what the requirements are, right? And these are extremely easy to use. Drag and drop, add conditions, just click on them, and that's how you can have these for engagement. I hope I was able to you have some sense in terms of how this looks like.
Yes. Thanks, Seran. The next question is by Zeus Junaidi. He's asking, when should a company go for automation? Ideally, what customer says?
I
Day
think,
one.
yeah, day one. Any
Day
company,
one.
irrespective of size, should leverage automation wherever possible. I think we have a lot of companies who are still relying on Excel sheets and Google sheets to do run their businesses. It's not a very efficient form of doing it. I think anywhere where there is manual intervention, if it can be automated, will make life easier, will make it much more efficient, and will ensure it's very robust. So the answer for this, even if you're running a 10 member team, go for it.
Thank you. The next question is by Vinod Podar. He's asking the use case for property management company, not a company selling builder properties. Is there a automation use case for that?
When we're talking specifically, okay, one second. I think let's go in order. I think Ravi Kumar had some questions some time ago, right? Prabhat has asked us what are the features better than Zoho CRM. Prabhat, that would depend on what you're using from Zoho, what you're using from LeadSquared. It's this is not the forum where we would like to have this discussion. But ideally, sure, we can set some time out and we can talk about what we can be doing. Let's just look at it from a use case perspective rather than a direct comparison to other models, right? That's not how we position ourselves. Uh, okay, Ravi Kumar has said the lead screen would have notes, tasks, meeting, calls, WhatsApp to make sure almost. Yes, absolutely. We would have notes that you can be taking. You have a lead B card, you have activity history. You can see what kind of media your customer is browsing, at least online. You have tasks that can be set up, reminders in order. Any meeting requests that can be documented as a separate activity. You have a click to call functionality and WhatsApp through Converse, right? So you can be using rich text, you can be using PDFs to continuously communicate with your customer, right? And can this be integrated with email? Absolutely, with ready connectors. Also, if you're using something like Outlook, you can go to your Outlook, right? And in the marketplace of Outlook, you have this feature called add-ins. Click on add-ins and search for LeadSquared, right? It will show you a LeadSquared for Outlook downloadable. When you download this, what happens is you're adding a separate tab within your Outlook UI, and you can switch over to your LeadSquared screen, right? Where you have an access key and a security key, which kind of syncs with Outlook. So every lead that you receive on email then is also getting added directly to your LeadSquared account, right? If there is any information that you want to edit on the email about the lead, you can do that too, or you can create a new lead right from your Outlook itself. Right now, this is something that we'll have to demonstrate to you for better understanding. But yes, so far all your questions, yes, Ravi Kumar, yes, we do it all. Okay. Use case for a property management company, not a company selling builder properties. Vinod, maybe a little more context would help.
Let me get that straight. I think, Vinod, if you're not wrong, you were looking at maybe aggregator platforms like No Broker, maybe 99 Acres. Is that what you mean by property management company? Where they're managing assets of multiple builders, right? Not technically a builder, say like a monthly or a prestige or anything for that matter. Okay, great. Yeah, so this we do have use cases, as such where you are dealing with these kind of companies, and the property management use case would be in terms of ensuring you're managing your leads, be it for renting or or buying the properties. It's very similar to how you would manage, say, a builder. The only thing difference here would be that a builder is just looking at their inventory, but here they are looking at multiple inventories, right? Across regions, across different builders. So that is how it will be different. But the journey overall, from the time a lead is created till the time the property is, say, sold or rented out, the journey remains the same. How you manage that is again different, but again, the scale of these can be higher because the volume of leads can be much higher. Say if you're looking at individual builders, they have limited set of inventory, maybe at a given point of time in a given region, and these projects run only till the time the inventory is full. Right? But for property management use cases, this is an ongoing activity. You keep getting new properties are getting constructed, buildings are coming with commercial or residential, and that is always taken care. In fact, we're working with a lot of property management companies in LeadSquared as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Eran. We also had a few questions that came in from the landing page, but
Okay.
we'll take them up after share a document with the questions and the answers when we share the recording. Uh, right now, we are past the time, and we also have with us our partner, Genactus Consulting, who can also help you automate your KYC verification needs. We have with us Chirag Kohli and Kamakya Singh, who will walk you through their platform. Um, let me just bring them. Yeah. Hi, Chetan. Over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great. Great. Okay. I think Kamakya is also joining. So let me know when we can start.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So what I'll be talking largely about is automation, because I think in the earlier session there were a lot of questions on automation side, and we are going to showcase one of those automations which we do outside, so as to say, LeadSquared, but obviously integrated with LeadSquared. This is for automating KYC. So a lot of companies today, like somebody was asking about property management and all that. Obviously, one part when you do sales is to do a KYC of the customers. How can you automate that process completely of KYC? And this could be for any kind of your vendor or could be for your customer as well. So we will talk about at a high level both these things and follow it up with a showcase of our solution as well. And obviously, as I said earlier, it is something that's integrated with LeadSquared. So, as we all know, KYC plays a very important role because now, for a lot of things, it is mandatory stuff as well in some of the cases by the government of India. So that means there is a certain amount of regulation around that, what it has to be done. And obviously, you want to make sure that you have the right information about your vendor or about your customer in those cases, or in fact, even for your employee as well. You have all the right set of information available with you, which you want. As of right, so that means it is more or less a cost element. That means you have to spend certain amount of money to get it done, and also not just to get that information, but also you spend money to validate it out as well. And we are going to help you with both the things. So, and today typically what happens is that for any kind of these kind KYC requirements, there is usually a checklist that gets sent to the customer or the employee or the vendor, and you ask them to fill up that checklist, that Excel sheet, and also attach those documents as well along with that. And that can come through you as an email, or somebody would do a WhatsApp session with you and then share those documents with you, right? And then once you get those documents, somebody in your team will be manually checking, opening up that document on one side and opening up the Excel sheet on the other side and verifying, hey, the name is right, the number is right. Suppose it's a PAN, then you'll verify the PAN number is rightly written in the Excel, and you'll say, okay, it is verified. You'll close the document and say it is all verified. Obviously, prone to time consumption, prone to any kind of manual error that might come in. And also in some cases, there'll be issues with respect to some language or possibility of coming those things up as well, because something might have got issued in some other language. So you have all these problems, and we all know, I should not be talking about it, but we all know what happened to Paytm, right? Just because of the KYC compliance issues. So, and I think nobody wants that to happen to their business. So what we've done is that, so this is again the process overview. So you do a document collection, you do matching, you do data filling, and then verify, and then follow up in case the data was not right or not complete. So you do all of that, and then you finally update the data and say, okay, this person, I have all the information. So going forward in our application, what you do is that either that email, the customer or the vendor would have sent that email to you with that filled up Excel sheet and with all those documents, or he would have transferred it to you in some other manner. You pick those documents up, and as soon as you pick those documents, we would have created internally in our system a task for certain things to happen, and there we would invoke cognitive process automation stuff that we use, which will read those documents on itself. So it will read the document, it will itself figure it out that this is a PAN card, this is an Aadhaar card, this is a property document, this is something else. And it will be able to verify that with an Excel sheet, if nothing else, as of right now. So we will be able to manage that. So the system basically will extract that information on its own and then automatically check that with the other Excel sheet, whatever the person has filled up, right? It will also tell you if there's a discrepancy between Chetan Kohli and Chetan K. All of those things, right? Once it has done the validation, two things will happen. Either the document is matching or it is not matching. In case it is matching, it will just give you a green signal to say, okay, everything matches. Initially, you might still ask one of your person to validate that out. And over a period of time, once you have confidence in the system, you can remove that step altogether for manual checking. If it says this is not validated, either it can raise a query or raise a task for somebody in your team to say, okay, this is not matching. Can you speak to the person or send him a mail? Or if you allow us in the system, we can directly send that person an email as well to say, these two things are not matching. Can you resubmit the document? So practically you will have all these things done up, and once everything is closed, if you want it to be uploaded, that Excel sheet to be uploaded into any one of your systems, we can even upload those ones out. Last but not the least, at the last stage, if there are documents which you want to be verified, not just with an Excel sheet, but for example, it's a PAN card, you want it to be verified by income tax website, you want some GST number to be verified, all those portals in case we have access to at that point of time, because government regulations keep on changing. So if we have access to them, we can even access that and give you whether this is verified PAN card, verified GST number, verified Aadhaar number and all that as well. So all of that can happen automatically without any manual intervention. And obviously you can reap the benefits, because obviously these kind of systems run 24/7 rather than just 8 hours. And obviously we are not prone to any kind of manual errors as well. So that is where the benefit you will see in the system. Any questions you have before, while Kamakya starts to pull up screen for showing you the demo of this automated KYC system?
हाँ जी बताइए।
Hi, Kamke. Would you like to share your screen?
Yep. Yep. So here I'm going to show you how the KYC automation we do with our product, where once you have received the Excel or a detail of the vendors or customer, it will be triggered and the link can be sent to the customer or vendors to initiate the KYC and submit their documents mentioned in the Excel for the proof and governance. So here I'll just start the KYC process here, and first task it will do is first it will validate or authenticate whether it's a genuine user or not. So I'll just enter a email ID which I have used, and then the name. Now with this, it will automatically send out a 6-digit code for validating the identity and the email ID, whether it's correct and not. And based on that, it will proceed further. As soon as I have entered my detail, it will validate. If it's not correct OTP, it will ask again and again for a couple of times based on the definition. Now it is asking for the documents which were mentioned in the Excel so that it will validate the data from the Excel. Now I will upload the PAN card detail for John Doe. Now here I will upload DL. It can, in case of customer, it can be your DL, your passport, your other Aadhaar card, other details. And in case of vendors, it can be your GST certificate or other verification documents mentioned in the Excel. Now in the backend, the AI is extracting the data through ICR and it is validating through the Excel sheet whether the data is correct or not. Based on that, it will move to the next stage and ask me for other documents as per the defined requirement. Now, this will continue till 4-5 steps and then it will complete. In case if there is any exception, it will be handed over to a human agent with a notification to the customer or vendor that these are the details or documents which are not matching. Please revert back with the correct documents, right? Now, once the process will be completed, it will be looking something like this, where it will go through all the stages which were defined and then it will have stored all the details which were extracted and compared against Excel. It has also stored whether the KYC was complete on what date and whether uh, the PIN code address and what document was submitted for the procedure. And at the end of it, it can also do customer onboarding with the integration of your system and then can update the customer unique ID or vendor onboarding and vendor unique ID, right? With that, you will have the complete audit log for these details and the files at one place to refer later for the requirement. Now, anyone have any questions, please feel free to ask. Cool. Yep.
I
Thank
don't see any questions as of now. Thank you so much, Chetan and Kamakya. If there's any questions, guys, please reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with Xenactis. Um,
Thank
to
you.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Yeah, I'm
Chetan and
sending a message.
Kamakya, for the
And
product call.
second thing,
To
you
all
very
those
much.
who've joined us, thank you for taking your time out for this session. Please feel to write to us if you have any questions or queries with regards to our offerings or anything else, or anything regarding Genactus as well. You could also book a demo to get a more tailored view of how automation can address your unique sales needs. With that, we would love to conclude our session. Everyone, please take care and have a nice day. We hope to see you in the next session.